Wayne's World. Hello, Entrepreneurial Connections Movement. Renee Rebar here, and I have my special guest, Alexa Bigwarfe. Whoa!
Oh, hi.
Hello. So now tell me where you are today.
I am currently in Columbia, South Carolina, locked down in my home.
And what's the weather like today? Is spring has sprung where you live now? Is that right?
Yes and no. Spring is always really crazy here. So we go up from yesterday it was up in the low 80s, and today it's back in the 60s again. And so we're kind of up and down, but at least it's not thunderstorming. We had a thunderstorm that was so bad, not yesterday, but the day before, the house was shaking from the thunder. It went on for 3 hours. I was like, we are truly at the end of days. What's happening? We are just all about to die. So
This is it, guys.
This is it. We're at the end.
Oh my gosh. I know. It's crazy times. So
Oh my goodness.
I'm thankful that you're willing to come on. For those of you who don't know my name is Renee Rebar. I am the hostess of this group. And I hope we know each other, but we might not because we've had a lot of new people join recently. This is a great community for women business owners from around the world to connect and discuss all types of areas of business. I talk about sales because that's what I do. I teach people how to sell for themselves. But I also am a customer of a lot of other businesses because I like to always work on my professional development. And so I am a former client of Alexa's. And now my Alexa's going to start talking to me. She's going to say...
This happens regularly.
Regularly, right? So I definitely know the strength and formulas that you have laid out, and I absolutely love them. You have helped me in so many ways, Alexa. So if you can share with the audience here, those who don't know you, a little bit about your background to kind of get started.
Sure. So my background is kind of fun, actually, and I like that you say tell us what surprises people about you. And my background actually is what surprises people about me, because before I became an accidental entrepreneur in the writing and publishing sphere, I actually worked in counterterrorism. And that usually, just people who know my personality, that always surprises people that I served in the military. I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq, and I wrote my state's homeland security strategy and worked in counterterrorism. So, which has nothing to do with where I am today, but it's a surprising fact. So we just, in a very brief nutshell, because you kind of have to understand what happened to me in my personal life to understand how I got here.
Yeah.
I had 2 small children at that point in time. It was a crazy work. I was traveling a lot, doing a lot of stuff, ultra paranoid, as you might imagine. And I decided I wanted to be home with my kids. And I had been a stay-at-home mom for about a month when I found I was pregnant with not only 1, but 2 babies. So I was about working full time and trying to figure out how to be home with 2 kids to having 4 children and under. And that was super exciting. But we found out that the babies were very sick, a syndrome called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. We went through a really, really long deal, which is actually very similar to what's happening right now. We didn't know how bad it was good. We didn't know how long it was going to go on. We didn't know what the outcome was going to be. This is very, this scenario in life is a little bit triggering for me right now. But anyway, babies were born early. They were both very, very sick. One of them spent 12 weeks in the NICU and is now a very, very healthy 8-year-old, and the other one passed away 2 days after they were born. And how that led me to where I am today is that I took to blogging and writing as a way to heal, as a way to express my emotions, as a way to do all of these things. I wound up pulling together and coordinating writing and self-publishing a book for grieving mothers. And I really fell in love with the publishing process. And so I kind of got a bug in me at that point in time. And I continued to do more books. And as I continued to publish other books, people started coming to me and saying, how are you doing this? I've always wanted to write a book. How do I do it? What do I do? And a business naturally bloomed around it.
Yes, I love it. And a podcast.
Yes. And a podcast and a mom blog and 7 other things and a nonprofit for grieving mothers and all kinds of phenomenal stuff that keeps me very busy.
Yes. So if you're listening to this live or on the replay, if you've ever wanted to write a book, tell us yes, book in the comments, and we can definitely continue to follow up with you on that. if you've ever wanted to start a nonprofit, if you've ever wanted to talk about what a podcast would look like, Alexa can speak to these. She's a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and above all else, she is kind and caring and empathetic. But also, in combination with that, having been a former client, I tell you, she is very clear on processes. So whether that's your background in the military combined with your passion and your big-heartedness, I absolutely loved the processes. So I know that you do lots of things for your clients, but you mentioned processes. So what are some processes or some questions that would help us start to process maybe the idea of, going from I want to write a book to maybe starting that book, maybe step 1 and 2?
Okay, so first of all, I think it's important for people to realize, as you have discovered, that it's a time-consuming project. Even if you're hiring a ghostwriter, like there's still a lot of time and energy that goes into that. Yeah. So for me, it's really important for people to kind of prioritize where this is going to fall in their lives, because you have to make it a priority, or it will never get finished. It will never get written. It will never get finished. So, being clear on, is this something I can take on right now? For example, I've been working with a client. We've been doing coaching sessions basically to help bring the book out of her. But she started showing up at the sessions and she hadn't done anything. She had done her homework. She was showing up. And finally, we just had to have a tough love session. And I was like, look, let's put this. You're getting married, you're buying a house. Now we've got this virus that's crazy. I was like, I know you want this book to come out and it's important, but I don't think now is your time. So let's regroup again in 3 months when all of these things are done, and we'll start and we'll pick up and we'll move there. But it has to be a priority to her. The thing that I've gotten better about over the last few years is making sure that I'm a little bit tougher with people. Because I used to just be like, well, okay, we can get back together next week and we'll see if you've finished it yet. And I found that it does nobody any good to just string along a process that the time is not right for. So you either have to decide, yes, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it a priority and I'm going to figure out a way, or you need to say, maybe a book's not the right thing for me to right now. Right.
Well, because the idea is we can't write a book in our spare time. Like,
that's right.
You're not going to accidentally find time in our already jammed up mom, wife, caregiver, like to sleep, like to eat person. There's no extra time in our day. So it's about prioritizing and structuring time. And you are very good with timelines. Having been a client, you were like, if you start here, if you want this to be your launch date, these are all the dates you have to meet. So you're very good with deadlines. But the reality is, that writing a book is an emotional process, even if it's a nonfiction book.
Right. To that point, what you said a minute ago as well, like we're all entrepreneurs in here, so I think we can see through some of the BS. We know that there's no such thing as passive income. That passive income is like 5 years of work that finally just clicked, right? But
totally.
It gets really frustrating to see these coaches out there selling these programs. Well, we'll write your book. You can have your book written and published, but from Friday to Monday, and make $10,000 on Tuesday. And I'm like, that's just such crap. No, that doesn't happen. It could happen, but only if you have 1 million people already on your email list.
Right. It can happen if you're like Gary Vee. Exactly. For him, he's your example. Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly. So,
Oi, exactly. And so,
should never be your mark.
No, I know. So having that time set aside. What about choosing a topic? A lot of times people say, I want to write a book, but I don't know what to write about first, because they have I could write about this, I could write about that. What's the process or questions you ask them about that?
Had so much time to pull through. You had a system. You already had the book. It was just dispersed all over the place. So there's 2 ways you can approach it. You can say, what do you already have available to make this as easy as possible for your first time out the door? If it's something that you're using to make yourself the undeniable expert authority in your field or whatever, let's start there. Let's pull together what you already have. But sometimes people's heart is just pulling them a totally different direction.
Right.
And you can spend a year trying to write a book that you just keep wandering away from. So, it's one of those things like, it doesn't really matter what your head is saying right now. What is your instinct telling you? What's pushing that fire?
Right.
So
Yeah, because you've written books on lots of different subjects. Can you share with us some of the books that you've authored? I know you personally. You're very. P.S. Guys, if you don't know Alexa yet, you got to click on her profile and start following her around. You will fall in love. She's like an onion. You're like, what? Oh my gosh! Like Alexa, you could have like seriously like a video cam, Alexa's world. I want to live in it. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. You are really like lifting my vibe, lifting my spirit today. I love it. Okay, so I've done a number of different things. The funny thing is what's on my heart really right now is a fiction book, and I'm trying to take advantage of some of this slower business time, if you will, because of the nature of my business. And if people are struggling with finances and what's going to happen,
right.
I'm the first to go, which is just kind of the reality of the nature of the business. But that's okay, because I'm looking at it in a Pollyanna perspective, and I'm saying, you know what, you've wanted to write this world fiction book based in France for 3 years.
Yes.
And you never have the time because you're always helping everybody else write their books. So that's where I'm going. But my first book was a book for grieving mothers to help grieving mothers through the process to find hope and light and encouragement again. And then I connected with another blogger, and we wrote a book for moms called Lose the Cape: Realities for Busy Modern Moms and Strategies to Survive. And we built kind of a little franchise off of that. We've got 4 books in that series, and they're always a lot of fun to do. Let's see, I've done... What else? Oh, I've written books on writing and publishing and marketing. Duh. That's an area that I'm always trying to expand in, and I've got another marketing book on pre-order now. Ditch the fear and just market it. So that's coming out.
Love it.
I may speed the timeline up. It wasn't supposed to come out until June, but I feel like right now people are in kind of that they want to get into their marketing right now and get things ready for their launches. So I may speed up the timeline on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on a journal, a journal for grieving mothers for activities to do throughout the day to kind of progress them in their healing. So I have a lot of what's it called? Things in the fire.
Irons in the fire. Yeah.
Irons in the fire. But
you're creative. I mean, that's it. Your mind, and I wanted you to share that because I know that you have this wide breadth and depth of topics that you can and have written on. And I hope that by sharing that with the audience, that those who are listening now know they don't have to pick one genre. They don't have to pick one area. So even if the first book is about something that is content that you've already created, and that's not necessarily your passion, let's get the first book out of the way. Because one thing you've told many times, and I didn't believe it at first, I was like, no, this is going to be it. This is good. I'll take the box. I'm good. Is once you write one book, it's about writing multiple books. Like it kind of breaks the seal, right?
Right.
And so to really plan on it, this is just do it, because this is just one of many.
That's right. I mean, and not only from a perspective, well, from a couple different perspectives. Really, you don't. If being an author is an important thing to you, which a lot of entrepreneurs do pride themselves on being authors, you don't really see that. Whether it's a fiction book, for most genres, you don't really see that kickback in authorship until you hit about the 3rd book. Like then you have a backlist, you have other things, people find you because of one book, they go to another one, you can sell other books because, and it just starts going around. And you see this even with the Michael Hyatts of the world and people like that who are constantly putting books out there. The other thing is that people like to consume information in different ways. So if you're selling a coaching program or something that's super high end, I mean, if you're selling a $5,000 coaching program and then you have a $16 book that teaches the same kind of thing, I mean, you open up your door for so many different things. So, I mean, I think I kind of just segued myself onto something entirely different there. But the point is, like, once you crack the code on how to make a book part of a stream of revenue for you, like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, I could do this. And, oh, by the way, look at what Dave Ramsey just did. His book is basically the transcript of his program. So, but people will only buy the $19 book, and some people will do that, so there's it's fun. It's fun. There's lots of opportunities.
Right. It makes it makes the theories and the trainings that person has made is speaking on accessible to everyone.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. How much access do you want to that person? And that's the level of payment, really, right? You want to read about it on your own couch or on the beach? That's a book. want to be able to talk to the person on Zoom or meet them in a live conference, that's going to be $5, $10, $15,000 or more,
Right.
depending on who it is. Yeah,
should be. Should be.
Should be. And
some of us haven't quite gotten there yet, but we will one day.
You are so funny. So like that's the thing is like I just want to say to the people that are listening, one of the first things that Alexa really laid down for me was the marketing of a book. And so beyond just the craft of writing, because like she said, there's 1,000 ways to skin the cat. There's 1,000 ways to get your ideas out into the world, packaged up. Ideas you've already had, ideas that are on your heart. And the idea is that you don't want to open up the book. You don't want the book to just be a book that nobody ever reads.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, there's a couple ways to think about this. So if you've already done the work to build your audience and you want kind of that first out the door, like a book can be an amazing tool as a gift to people in your community.
Yes.
So you can use it as that way, and you can use it to get your book out into the community. You can use it as a bonus to a program or an upsell to something. Like there's all kinds of things that you can do that way. So in that sense, you already have the community that you're providing it to. But for most entrepreneurs, the book is the gateway to building a bigger community. So, you know, you want to put that time and energy into researching the same way you would if you were targeting Facebook ads. Like, how do you make sure that book gets in front of the right people? And how do you make sure that those people are downloading it and getting it and sharing it and doing all that kind of stuff for you? I'm a big proponent of giving a lot for free, probably more than I should, but I know that it's opened up many, many doors for people that would have never followed me if they'd had to pay for everything. Right. And sometimes it's 2 or 3 years later, I get an email from this just happened to me. This woman signed up for my program and she said, I've been following everything you do for 3 years and the time is finally right. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Right. I'm glad you joined for free 3 years ago and that you've been, following along. So
I love it. And that is the journey that of a long-term consistent business. That is what's built over time. Like we said, there's the overnight successes. I used to love that show on MTV called Behind the Music. Do you remember that show?
I do.
You would like, I'm like Led Zeppelin, and you're like, they were like an overnight hit. No, they lived out of their van for 10 years, and they had all these hardships and all these struggles and all these mountains to climb, and because they were willing to do that, they are now Led Zeppelin.
My favorite example of this in the book writing industry is going to crack you up, probably. But it's E.L. James who wrote 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes, let's hear it.
So many people just think that 50 Shades of Grey was an overnight success. She was an unknown author that just came out of the blue and wound up on the number one on the bestseller list for like 36 weeks. I can't remember what it was. The longest time an author has ever been at the top of the list, right? Well, in reality, I was curious about this because in my marketing, I wanted to teach my clients, like, how do you get that level of success? How does that happen? So I'm going to go look at the book that I know to be the biggest, like, boom. And it turns out that she'd spent like years writing her book on fan fiction sites and getting her content out there for free and building up this audience. By the time a publisher, she already self-published the book. Publishers were hearing so much about it because that's what everybody was reading and talking about. It landed in the right person's hands. But by the time her book launched through this publisher, she had 5 million fans from reading on these fan fiction sites. And they're such loyal fans, they all bought the book.
Right.
And in every format.
Even though they've already bought it or they already had it over here, you are, oh my gosh, yes, they just want that. They'll buy the same information in different forms. Yes. And this is the perfect segue, and I asked you about this before we came on, about publishing regularly. It doesn't necessarily have to be a book. All those little blog posts, I say little, some of them are epic. All of that you've written, right? Like all of those pieces of, all those journal pages, all those blog posts, even social posts, some of those long form posts could be the making of your next or first book. So keep publishing, keep documenting, especially now. Like you said, you have a journal coming out about, for grieving mothers. I think a lot of us are grieving right now. We're grieving a lot of things. Our freedoms, our abilities to leave the house and just go to the park and play in the swings. We can't do it.
I mean, if you haven't already thought this is an amazing time to create content for a book for going forward, because guess what? Everything is shifting from this event. Now it's, how to prepare your business for a time when, everything just explodes around you. What's happening, what things I did, things that I wish I'd known before that I would do now to launch my business, to make sure I have safeties, protections in place, whatever. Even just like how on earth I survived and kept a business running with 3 kids home that I'm also now having to educate, which is scary.
Carry the one.
All the mini meltdowns and breakdowns that have been happening in our house, and most of them are me, not the children. So there's lots of content to pull from it, but also, like, to your point about pulling from what you already have. Right now, the writing is on the wall that nobody's investing, at least in mine. Not for some businesses are still doing amazingly, but for the community that I have, I work with lots of very young entrepreneurs that don't have a lot of excess money. I work with a lot of stay-at-home moms, or moms that are exploring business opportunities, all of this stuff. So in my sphere of influence right now, everybody's clamping down, not only financially but mentally. They just don't have the capacity to do it right now. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, blog posts out the yin yang, interviews, all this kind of stuff. I'm compiling all of it, and I'm putting it into a book that I can sell for $2.99 on ebook, and getting it out there so that they can still have the information. They can consume it when they want, and they don't have to pay thousands of dollars to work through that process.
Absolutely. But you're taking all the effort that you've already done. You've already done the interviews. You've already written the blog posts. This is content that already has been created, packaging it up and putting it into a new order so that they can have a new experience with the same content.
And the thing is, like you said, when people will come back to you when they're looking for the how to do it. I mean, I give them the how and the what, but even so, I like to use this example. When I took calculus for some ungodly known reason in college, I didn't need it. I don't know why my advisor told me to take it. It's one of 2 C's that I got in my entire college career. I hated it. Anyway, I showed a class, took calculus. I would sit there and I'd watch him work the problem on the board. He showed me exactly. He made it from this step to this step to this step. I was like, that makes sense to me. I got it. He showed me. I never did my homework. We showed up on test day, and for the life of me, I had no idea how to get from step 1 to 2 to 3, even though he had told me every day for weeks.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing. Like, when it comes, if you're worried about putting all your knowledge and giving it to somebody in a book, well, first of all, not everybody can take the book and apply it. I mean, Julie gives us everything.
I know.
She tells us how to do everything with sales funnels and all these things. For the life of me, I'm staring at my funnel going, I don't know what to do, So people still come. If they want to do it, they will come back to you. They will get your help. Except for the hardcore DIYers, and then they're never going to buy it. So it's just, keep giving them the $2.99 books and count it as a success.
Exactly. So for those I have a lot of clients who have done summits, and they've, in essence, they could create like an anthology.
Right. Exactly. Oh my goodness. I have 5 years worth of interviews. Like, so much content. It's just ridiculous.
So much content, right?
So much content.
Right. I love it. So you've given us such good pointers, such good experiences. And so for those of you listening live, I can see we've got, we've gone back and forth between, like 10 to 2, and everybody, I know we're all homeschooling, we're all at home, we're all like, what the?
And all of a sudden, everybody that we've ever known is going live on their Facebook page. So it's like, live. Like, what is happening? I mean, do you see this too? Like, it makes me feel like I'm crazy. Like, the pinging all over the place. I'm like, I have to turn everything off.
Oh my God, I'm so dying. I'm that person. Right. Well, I'm also like an extrovert, so I'm dying for like interactions. I'm like, please, let's just interview each other all day,
I'm having my coffee, everybody. Let's have coffee together on Facebook Live. Look, I poured in the creamer. I know. Who else is having coffee today?
That's so me. Oh my God. Call me out. I love it. So like that all being true, yes, lots going on. If you are listening to this live or on the replay and you have, we got people laughing at us. If you have questions about a book, or if you have topics or ideas, just write the word book in the comments. Just type the word book, and we'll know that this was something that you want to hear more about. Alexa has this breadth and depth of experience and this kind-heartedness, and I truly, truly respect and love her methodologies and theories and how she does business. So thank you, Alexa, for coming today and spending that time with us. And for those of you listening, thank you. I hope to hear more from you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.